Now, in the aftermath of finding blame for that shooting and the epidemic of others, one common allegation is emerging.
Is the abundance of psychiatric meds being prescribed to young men to blame for these shootings? Team 12's Joe Dana verifies whether there's any evidence to back up that claim. Joe?
An attorney for the alleged shooter says he was not on any prescription meds. But, that hasn't stopped speculation online and by one very prominent member of the gun lobby from saying that our culture is drugging kids and that it's to blame for this epidemic of mass shootings.
The incoming president of the National Rifle Association, Oliver North, calls the scourge of gun violence on campuses a disease.
And the disease in this case isn't the Second Amendment. The disease is youngsters who are steeped in a culture of violence. They've been drugged in many cases. Nearly all of these perpetrators are male. If you look at what has happened to the young people, many of these young boys have been on Ritalin since they were in kindergarten.
A host of bloggers also promote the claim that psychiatric drugs are fueling the behavior of many or most school shooters. So are they right? A leading expert on school shootings who has written 2 books on the subject and who educates countless organizations, including the FBI, says there's no known cause-effect link.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. I've not seen any convincing evidence that any of the attacks could be attributed to psychiatric medications.
Dr. Peter Langman has profiled school shooters of college age and younger, gathering interviews and autopsy reports. Out of 51 shooters, there was evidence that 7 of them were recently or currently on psychiatric medication, mostly antidepressants. In those cases, the meds were already treating severe underlying issues related to mental and emotional health. When asked to provide more specific evidence for Oliver North's claim, the NRA emailed us a 2011 review by the FDA, concluding that 31 psychiatric drugs, including 3 used for ADHD, had a disproportionate association with violence towards others. But the NRA could not provide evidence connecting school shooters and psychiatric drugs. Unless the NRA has more specific evidence, we are left to conclude that this claim is false, that prescription drugs like Ritalin are an identifiable cause of many school shootings.
And the researcher we spoke with added that when you look at the lives of these shooters who were given meds, these were not ordinary kids who underwent some radical transformation under the influence of meds. They were already struggling in a lot of different ways, and that's why they were prescribed those medications.
But, Joe, you and I both know that there are some people who will never be convinced that there isn't a cause-effect relationship because these conspiracies continue to live online.
Yeah, they're out there. And this researcher actually went a step further. He looked at the conspiracy theories that Oliver North alluded to here. He debunks many of them step by step. For example, the Virginia Tech shooter was on antidepressants. Well, he used them for 7 years prior to the shooting. There were many other behavioral signs that the Virginia Tech shooter showed since childhood that showed he was troubled, yet a lot of people suggest that he was on antidepressants during the shooting episode. So you can go to my Facebook page right now. You can see more of these conspiracies that are debunked.
All right, thanks, Joe.